Well, for more on this latest attack on yet another secondary school in northern Nigeria, let's go straight away to our correspondent, Amaka Okoye, who is in the town of Kagara in Niger State, where the mass abduction took place. Good to see you, Amaka. I didn't realize we were going to do this so soon after you were in Kankara in Katsina State yet again. But what do we know so far about this latest attack?
Fortunate, we're again here talking about the same thing, kidnapping. I'm right here in the school, government secondary school, Kagara, where this happened. What we do know, like you read, is the number of persons that, yes, were kidnapped from here. We have 27 students, 3 staff members, and of course 12 members of their relative. That's what we do know, and one person, of course, that died, unfortunately, from that incident. A while ago, the governor was here with his entourage, and we saw heavy presence of, security men who were here. And he looked around, inspected the place, and said a few things. One of the things he noted, quite frankly, is the fact that, yes, this place really, really looks vulnerable. If you look at the school compound itself, the fences itself and all of that, yes, it would have been easy, so to say, for this attack to have happened. And he assured that this is, again, a lesson, and that's one of the things that he knows he's definitely going to do in his conversation with Mr. President tonight, is to make sure that there will be more security presence and that they will do more. In his words, he said they've never seen this kind of thing in Niger State before. In the past, Niger used to be very safe, and so people did not anticipate that this sort of thing will happen. And so for him, it's now a wake-up call, and of course for the citizens and the security apparatus to be able to now step up their game in terms of making sure that this place is safe and is secure. And again, Charles, unfortunately, this is not the first time that stuff like this happened in Kagara rather. I'm still talking about Kagara. Like you do know, out of the 25 local government area in Niger State, 3 are most volatile, which is Shiroro, Munya, and Rafi local government area. This school, Kagara, is actually in Rafi local government area, which means that this is one of the most volatile area in terms of bandit attacks and kidnappings, like this. And so one would expect that this haven't happened over and over again. We should see more security presence. On our way in here, Charles, I can tell you that we only saw a security presence when we were close to the school. And of course, you would know the reason, because this has happened. While in this school, still standing here, we've been speaking to a couple of parents, and then they made us to understand that there's been other kidnappings in the past. In fact, 40 days ago, some people were kidnapped in another school called Atahiru Primary and Secondary School, but that's a day school. And in fact, I spoke to a woman who said 6 of her children were kidnapped in that incident, and they are not yet back as we speak. Of course, you also do know that on Sunday, the 14th of February, we had the 40 people who were abducted from this same state, from the NSTA, which is the Niger State Travel Authority, Transport Authority rather, those who were kidnapped from that bus. 8 of them were released. It means that 32 others are still in custody. By the time you put the 32 and the number that were kidnapped, we're talking about 74 persons still in captivity as at now. And then I have a young man here also whom we've been speaking to, who said, look, it's not just today's own. They are here in solidarity, so to speak, because they have family members who are still in captivity that, not so many people have been talking about that, and he is one of those who escaped from the previous one. And he said to me that, look, my sisters are still there. Another woman says 6 of my children are still there in captivity. Another man says, yeah, 4 of my children are still there. So you wonder what the impact that this is going to have on these people, the community people, and on education overall. If we continue to see this sort of incessant attacks on schools, I'm wondering, I'm sure you will be wondering, who else will want to come to school? What more can be done? And if you allow me, I could, bring in Jerome now, Jerome Pius, who was taken earlier from his farm before now. Jerome, kache andoke ka ya me andoke ka daga ina?
Family din mai angwasa.
Okay, daga ina ne aka dauke ka lokacin da suka yan bindigan din nan suka dauke ka? I'm going to explain in a bit.
Daga nan secondary na nan abun nan a Tahiru.
Akwai mutanen ku da suna a hannun yan bindiga ko dukansu sun dawo?
Sun dawo.
Dukansu sun dawo?
Eh,
Akwai wani mama da ya ce akwai yaranta guda 6 sun dawo?
sun dawo.
Okay. All right, so that's Pius. I'm just having a conversation with Pius Jerome, who escaped from the hands of the bandits. You know, himself, he said he was taken from the farm. Essentially, Charles, it means that this sort of thing has been happening. And that tells you how security is quite a challenge here. I mean, we hope that from the conversation with Mr. Governor and the president, that something is going to happen. I mean, I asked him also, you recall that in the earlier statement, he mentioned that he was not going to pay ransom. And when I asked him why he's taking that position, again, he reiterated the fact that they are not going to give heed to paying ransom because they realize that these armed bandits use it to buy weapons. But again, if there is anyone who is repentant, they are happy to receive them back. But there's more work to be done here. And of course, the governor as well agreed to that there is more work in terms of security. Again, this shows that more states in Nigeria, especially the north of Nigeria, are quite vulnerable to situations like this, Charles.
Well, I have to say, Amaka, it all sounds absolutely horrendous. I mean, as you touched on earlier, I can well imagine what the deep emotions that the people there whose families have been taken away are feeling. But just drilling down further on what we know so far, I mean, do we know who might have carried out this attack and what their motive might be? Is there any suggestion that it might be linked to insurgents in the northeast or somewhere else?
That you asked, same as the question that we asked Mr. Governor. Again, the suspicion is that they are bandits, armed bandits. When it happened in Kagara, what we heard is that the bandits were agitating, for them to be recognized. They felt left out for a long time. They've not been accorded all that is due them like other citizens in the state. And so the governor today reiterated, not saying explicitly, but implying that if that's the situation, if that's what the problem is, that they are ready now to look into the situation to answer all the things that they are asking for, their needs. If they say they feel neglected, they've not been given all the basic amenities, that they are happy to consider them and to have a dialogue. One of the things that he mentioned very strongly and saying that he is not interested in paying ransom, but he is interested in dialogue. It gives you an indication to say, well, these people are agitating for something, and it's just time for the government, the powers that be, so to say, to pay attention to these people. Because again, Charles, this is showing us that they are relentless. They are not stopping. You recall that in Kagara, we saw what happened, and just a week after the boys were released, we saw another attack. Even though they had that conversation and the so-called negotiation and the release, but these bandits, again, they hit, kind of saying that, look, we are not stopping until you pay attention to us. And if you bring it back to this context, it looks like it's the same thing that is that's playing out rather here again. What are they asking for is what we're yet to find out. But what is implied is, again, they are saying, well, we've been neglected, and the suspicion is armed bandits. Even speaking to the locals here, I've been speaking to a few of them just after the governor left. Of course, we're still staying and having conversation to be able to feel the pulse of the people. And they're saying, look, these are armed bandits. They've seen this over and over again. Charles, what that means is that there is a level of underreporting of the situation in Niger State, apparently, because if 40 days ago some people were kidnapped, and not just one, not two, not 10, and some of them still in captivity as we speak, and there's 74 others from those that were kidnapped on Sunday and now, then there's a huge problem of insecurity in the state, Charles.
Well, I have to say, Amaka, I want to thank you very much indeed again for your persistence in digging up all this information for us and keeping across the latest developments in that story. Amaka, of course, our correspondent, Amaka Okoye there, talking to me from Kagara in north-central Niger State, where there's been kidnap of, this morning, kidnap of 42 people from a boys' boarding school in the state. 27 of them said to be students, 3 of them staff, along with 12 of their family members. And that is the latest coming out of that region of Nigeria.